What's going on, everybody? I don't know. Can you hear me? Because I couldn't hear anything going off out there. Let me get my tablet set up so I can see everything too. Welcome back. You know, if we don't have a Foolish Finance Friday, I have my petty tea moment today. I have that ready. All right. So let's see here. Oh, I was breathing over the countdown. Well, D probably unmuted my mic. It is what it is. At least you know it's a human being on the other end and not AI. At least you know that much. What's going on? Madalena, how you doing? Good afternoon, Miss Phoenix. Thank you for your tech ties. Started we're gonna start this thing off right. Hey, I watched the Freaknik joint. Was that on Hulu or Netflix? I don't know. Or Amazon. I don't know where it was on. I watched it. I was like, they took out a lot of stuff. I thought it was gonna be scandalous. It wasn't nothing. I was like, oh, they didn't show the clubs. They didn't show the clubs. They didn't show the 112s, the Kayas. They didn't show they want no Memorial Drive. I didn't see no Memorial Drive, nothing. They went at the atrium. They went at none of them spots. I wasn't excited. I wasn't excited. I was disappointed. I was like, is this what everybody was? I was like, there must have been something else because this is nothing. Mm, this is nothing. So how do we want to start? Do we want to start with something petty? I don't know. Let me look. Mm, yeah, this is okay. I'll stay with this one. All right, so let's get started. I mean, make sure I'm on the right notes here. Sure, we're on the right notes. Got a lot of things to cover, but first things first, let's go back to last week. Last week, we talked about Investors Day. Oh, even if you did see your auntie on it, I mean, it was so heavily edited. Like, what she was gonna do? Look at them girl with the Daisy Duke song. She wasn't gonna be doing nothing. Like, was- they didn't have nothing out there. I was sad. I thought at least they have, you know, with the club scene, this, that, and other. But back then it wasn't really no camcorders in the club. We didn't have camcorders in the club, so you know that one that thing, that one the move. All right, so I think I'm gonna start off being petty in But let me find the article that I want. Um so we could talk about it. So we could talk about it. Hold on. I have it. I know I have it. I'll probably end up finding it. Let's do this one and then I'll lead into that one. All right. So there's a couple of articles out here like this. Let's get started with this and then I'll lead into the other ones. All right. It says, how much does a single adult need to live comfortably in Tampa Bay? There is one for cities, and I gotta bring that up because people don't believe fat meat is greasy. So here we go. Here it is right here. I knew I had. I I got to copy and paste it. Let me open it up over here and I'll bring it over too. All right. To comfortably live in Tampa Bay, they said a new study found out how much money people living in large cities need. And this is just strictly the Tampa Bay. I'll bring up the study that they actually have. So Smart Asset used the 50/30/20 budget, which recommends that 50% of your salary goes to your needs, such as housing, groceries, transportation. 30% goes towards go 30% toward wants like entertainment and hobbies, and 20% toward paying off debt, saving or investing. The study applied the study said it applied the local cost of necessities and taxes 50/30/20 budget to find the pre-tax salary needed to live comfortably. This is pre-tax. Pre-tax. All right. So here in Tampa, it said a single person, a single adult, you need to be at 94,000. In St. Pete, 94,000. In Jacksonville, 91. Orlando, 100. And Miami, 100. And it says a total salary needed for two working adults with two children, you need to be at 209. 209. And then in Miami, 215. Now, I'm gonna bring over the one for all the cities. This is the one, this is where they pulled that from. All right, so for all the cities, let's scroll right here. For all the cities, New York 138, San Jose 136, Irvine 126, and I think this is a bare minimum if you ask me, but that's if you ask me. Boston 124, San Diego 122, Seattle 119, San Francisco, we know 119 in San Francisco. We heard the 150 is the is lower income. So 119, as a single person in San Francisco, we already know. So that's why I say I think these numbers are just like at a bare minimum just to survive. That's what I think. They say comfortably. I think just to survive. All right, so let's keep going. Arlington, Long Beach, Anaheim, Los Angeles, Atlanta, 107. 107. Now, remember I did the show about the mega cities. I did the show about the mega cities. We can't deny that when we are looking at these places that you need to be at uh in these mega cities, you're gonna probably need to put some money, put something on it, right? Oh, check it out. I didn't know the Mega Millions was almost at 1 billion. I'll go buy some tickets. All right, Raleigh, North Carolina, 102. Glendale, 102. Right? These are Aurora, 110. Anything in Colorado is expensive, but Aurora is probably one of the cheaper of the cities that's outside of Denver. All right, and I don't like Aurora, so whatever. A family afford 270 to 290 to live comfortably with trips and activities. Yeah, I think when we're talking about these salaries and stuff, I don't think people take into the to account any trips or any type of emergencies or what have you. I don't think that's taken into consideration, if you ask me. But these are the numbers. There's nothing in here that screams 45,000. And even if two incomes at 45,000, you're still not at 100 in Atlanta. Now let's go to, let me see, on these cities. Arlington, I think you need to be at 150. Anything in California and Honolulu, I just think you need to be at 150. Los Angeles, might see 110 in Aurora, maybe, right? Let's go back up. And look at that. There's another link that I had in there. All right, since we're talking about 100,000, no leisure costs don't even get counted in them. Like, here we go. A Texas millennial said, whenever that goes away, he said wasn't satisfied. A Texas millennial wasn't satisfied with his dating life. He said things changed when he started earning $100,000 a year. He said things changed. Let's see what changed. The Texas millennial said his dating life improved when he started making more money as a pharmacist. He said he became more confident and was able to afford his dating life. Money and career status can make dating easier. We can't fight numbers. We try to fight it. We can't. We can't fight these numbers. All right, let's go. All right. Benjamin Gibson was in his early 20s. He didn't have much success in his dating scene. His lack of confidence probably didn't help matters. The 42-year-old told Business Insider via email. 42. He 42. He lacked confidence. He said when he started making 100K, he was like, he stuck his chest out. He stood up a little more straighter, shoulders head up. He had his stride on. He had his Gucci belt on with his Gucci loafers, his Fossil watch, his Invitica watch. Benjamin was like, "Where them dollars at? Where them dollars at?" Benjamin became that confident man before he would walk behind the confident men in the club, hoping to get the fallout. Now he leading the confident men club. He walk in. They know his name. Ben, what up? What up, Benny? He be like, yeah, that's me. They see me. Ben had Ben had to get the confidence. He had to get his swag right. All right. Gibson said after graduating from college with a degree in biomedical engineering, he struggled to find a job working part time as a retail cashier in Virginia in 2007. He said sometimes he get nervous when women came to the checkout line. In hindsight, he said this might had something to do with his feelings about the job. Part of the feeling of inadequate since I was making $7.50 an hour. Eventually, Gibson decided he wanted to become a pharmacist. He graduated from pharmacy school in 2011 and began working full time as a pharmacist, moving to Texas in 2013. He said his career transition seemed to have a positive impact on his dating life. Once I became a pharmacist, I was more confident and earned a lot more. He saw more in his bank account. He saw more in he's like he could go to the restaurants where the women what he was looking for were at. Where the women that he was looking for, where they was at, where they at though. He said, once I became a pharmacist, I was more confident and earned a lot more. It helped me with my dating since I had more disposable income. Gibson hourly pay and typical working hours put his annual compensation about 109 a year. Gibson isn't only American who thinks a stronger career and financial profile can help their dating success. In part, that's because going on dates is expensive. In 2022, Lending Tree's survey of more than 1,500 U.S. consumers, nearly 4 in 5 respondents from all demographics said dating could be easier if they had more money. And nearly 1 in 5 said they were going on fewer dates because of inflation. He said, look, if you want to be in this game, 100K get you there. And you got to remember, and this is from all aspects, just to eat out in general, it's going to cost. Just to eat out in general, it's going to cost. That's just it. You can, and let's be real, some of the groceries are high. They ain't high as they could be, but some of the groceries is high. You want to get some organic everything, 250 minimum. You organic everything, 250. That's just what it is. It's like you can't even find grapes with seeds no more. Seedless grapes on sale. I'm like, why do all the grapes got seeds, no seeds in them no more? Unless you gonna grow them. The 100K made Phil 6 feet tall with Superman, or it made Betty Phil 6 feet tall. Yeah, confidence. You can be confident and still be broke, but you can't be confident and be broke and complain. That don't work. You can't be confident, broke, and complain. That don't work. Just telling you. When you out here in these streets. All right. All right, here we go. I thought this was interesting. The new government contracting rules will put parents, caregivers, and seniors out of work. Will put parents, caregivers, and seniors out of work. Most independent contractors value their independence and ability to control their schedules. So here we go. New government contracting rules. All right, let me blow it up a little bit. All right. Studying how government regulations affect women's employment is a priority of the organizations that I run, Independent Women's Forum. Now, rather than reviewing data, economic reports, we can have a case study. All right, cool. We're working with human resources consultants and lawyers to address this topic from an unfortunate angle. How many women will have to let go of the new Department of Labor independent contracting rule? I don't know if everybody heard about this new independent contracting rule. All right. Guidance from the Society of Human Research Management encapsulates the challenge. The most basic question about the employment relationship is whether a is, in fact, an employee or independent contractor. As with so many employment law issues, the answer it depends. It depends on the particulars of the work relationship, but on which government entity is asking the question, since even courts have admitted that the distinction isn't always clear. The legal distinctions aren't clear, but what is clear that the new Department of Labor regulations are meant to reduce the number of contractor relationships and push more people into working as traditional employees. With an estimated 25% to 35% workers involved in some way in the gig economy, this means that new law will have an enormous impact on all of us, workers, employers, and consumers. The new Department of Labor regulations require employers to consider 6 factors to determine who can be a contractor. The employer's level of control over how the work is done, the worker's opportunity for profit or loss, the level of skill required, how long the relationship would last, the worker's investment in equipment or materials, and how integral the work of is the employer's core business. The legal guidance is to err on the side of caution, which means that contracting should be allowed only if the employee meets every test and every requirement. What does this mean in practice for an employer like me? Currently, the Women's IWF Independent Women's Forum engages in 20 independent contractors. Some are policy experts who cover issues for use of occasional writing. Others help with fundraising and accounting services, and others are high impact consultants who help implement major new projects. Who can I keep and who must I let go? Like most nonprofits, IWF can afford to offer every contractor a full time position, and that's because of insurance or 401k probably. In fact, we will have to let most go if this is our only choice. Yet more importantly, most of the contractors do not want a full time job with us with any employer. Sadly this is a factor the department later doesn't seem to be interested in at all. Most independent contractors value their independence ability to control their schedules. They want to depend on one employer, but they would rather have a variety of relationships so they don't never risk being unemployed. Do overemployment. That's how that's gonna work. Many independent contractors we have engaged quit full-time positions to become caregivers. They saw opportunities like what we offer to stay engaged in their fields, have an intellectual outlet, and enjoy camaraderie with colleagues while contributing to family finances. Right? They don't want the pressure of short-term deadlines and in-person meetings. They don't want to have to track their time. Well, you got to track your time anyway as an independent contractor. I don't know why that's a thing. And it says, and explain about sick kids and field trips. Can we continue? And I know some men are in this position with being an independent contractor. I know some men that are full time dads. Some men that are part time dads are in this situation. Can we continue to offer these work relationships? Maybe although the guidance that contractors cannot perform similar work of employees makes it fraught. Certainly, it seems prudent for us to offer contractors only short term contracts. I'm advised to not issue business cards, pay expense, offer continued education or training, or even invite or permit contractors to attend company parties or special events intended for employees. Right? So again, they're talking about people being these independent contractors and you having and doing the work that someone would do as a full-time person. And so they're saying that's an issue for primarily women who turn to be caregivers, or they may want to work remotely from home and take care of their children. And they're looking and they're saying that's an issue. Saying that's an issue. So along with that, I had another article that lines up with what that is as well too. So let's look at this here. Um So, filing taxes as an independent contractor. I went and found this because I know some people look at this and want to be an independent contractor. But here's a step by step guide I found on Yahoo Finance on about how to file your taxes as an independent contractor. And we are in tax season, so Here we go. All right. When you have a traditional job, your employer withholds part of your paycheck for taxes, but when you're an independent contractor, you're responsible for withholding your tax money on your own. If you expect your tax liability to exceed $1,000 for the year, the IRS expects you to make quarterly estimated tax payments. You're also responsible for self employment taxes, which pay for both the employee and the employer's share of Social Security and Medicare, on top of your federal taxes and any other applicable state and local taxes. Paying independent contractor taxes requires a solid planning. Get with somebody. Don't try to do it by yourself. Solid planning and record keeping, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Read on to learn how taxes work for independent contractors, how you file, and some important tax deductions to be aware of. What is an independent contractor? Goes back to that article. Independent contractors can be referred to by a number of terms. You may be an independent contractor for a small business owner operating as a sole proprietor. You do gig work, or you're a freelancer. Determining whether someone is an independent contractor versus an employee can get tricky. Companies that misclassify a worker as an independent contractor instead of an employee could be on the hook for paying self-employment taxes on the worker's behalf. The IRS uses a three-pronged common law test to determine whether a worker can be classified as an independent contractor. The test consists of the following factors: behavioral control, financial control, type of relationship, example of an employee versus a contractor. Suppose you're a web designer who's hired by a business to perform services. Let's look at how your role look based on whether you're an employee or an independent contractor. If you're an employee, the business could tell you when and where you need to perform your design duties. You receive a regular check with federal taxes withheld. You may be eligible for benefits like health care, retirement plan, paid vacation, and sick leave. Your employer would provide you a laptop or other equipment. They may also pay for training to help you advance your skill set. Your company may or may not allow you to pursue outside work. Mm, may or may not. Key word right there. Key word right there. All right. If you're an independent contractor, you have greater control over when and where you perform your work, when you're paid. You're responsible for tax holdings. In addition to regular income taxes, you will be on the hook for self-employment taxes. You're unlikely to receive employee benefits or company equipment. If you want to learn a new skill, you need to pay for your training. But if you want to pursue other design clients, you could typically be free to do so. No one can stop you from doing that, right? So, tax requirements for independent contractors, income thresholds. If you're an independent contractor, you're required to file a tax return and pay yourself tax employment yourself pay self tax employment taxes if you have net earnings of more than $400 in one tax year, right? Additionally, if you earn more than $600 from an individual client or business, they must complete the Form 1099 NEC, which is used to report non employee compensation. They need to furnish you a copy and send one to the IRS. Quarterly estimated taxes. Independent contractors need to make quarterly estimated tax payments if they expect a tax bill of at least $1,000 for 1 year. You can face an underpayment penalty if the taxes you pay throughout the year don't add up to 90% of your tax liability for the current year or 100% of your tax liability for the previous year. These are quarterly estimated tax deadlines for the year 2024 for independent contractors. April 15th, June 17th, September 16th, and January 15th of 2025. You can file these following forms. 1040 ES used to calculate and make quarterly estimated tax payments. 1099 NEC for individual or company that paid you $600 or more during the tax year. Schedule C, Form 1099. Schedule SE, use this form to file and report Social Security and Medicare taxes, also known as self employment taxes. Form 1099K, you receive a Form 1099K if you are independent contractor or small business owner who clients pay via Venmo or other third-party platforms. Eventually, the IRS will require these services to send a Form 1099K if you receive payments of 600 or more. However, the IRS is in a phased-in approach to implementing this rule. The 2023 platforms generally weren't required to send forms unless you earned $20,000 or more and it had at least 200 transactions for tax year 2024. Deductions for independent contractors: home office deduction, automobile deduction, cell phone, laptop, and internet, business travel expenses, health insurance, self employment taxes, and QBI, qualified business income deduction. As an independent contractor, you can deduct up to 20% of your taxable income, though this deduction phases out at higher income levels. Self employment taxes. How to file taxes as an independent contractor. I'm going to drop this in the link so y'all that want to go 1099 and do work, y'all can do that work. Y'all can know how to file taxes at least. And like I say, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You have to go in and actually uh talk to someone about setting your structure up properly, because there are other things that go into that. All right, while we're along the line talking about taxes, let's talk about these taxes. Marginal versus effective taxes. Do you know the difference? Put a 1 in the chat if you know the difference. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. What is marginal versus effective? Put a 1 if you know, put a 2 if you don't. All right, let's go. When planning for taxes, it's helpful to know both your marginal tax rate and your effective tax rate. Marginal tax rate is the percentage you pay in taxes on the last dollar you earn, while the effective tax rate is the average tax rate you will pay overall to the federal government. How many of you know what your effective tax rate is? You should know what your effective tax rate is. What is marginal tax rate? Marginal tax rate is the percentage of the federal income tax you pay on the final dollar for the tax year. There are currently 7 marginal rates in the tax code, ranging from 10% to 37%. Jerry, you don't know? Thank you for admitting that you don't know. You're here to learn. This is what we do, right? The U.S. has a progressive tax system in which Americans with higher levels of income are expected to shoulder a greater share of tax burden. Your tax liability is lower on the first portion of your income, but as you earn more money, the additional income is taxed at a progressively higher rates. Essentially, your marginal rate is the highest tax bracket you fall into based on your taxable income. So, calculating your taxable income. To calculate your marginal tax rate, first you need to calculate your taxable income. Your taxable income consists of sources of income, including salary, wages, tips, and commissions, minus deductions like student loan interest, contributions, pre-tax retirement accounts, again, minus, right? Your pre-tax retirement account, your 401k, your Roth IRA, your Roth 401k, your HSA. The result is your adjusted growth income. So, with that being said, Let's go over here to the calculator, right? And say you made 100K and you took out for your 401K, the max you could take out this year is 23,000. And then the max you could take out for your HSA, I think as a single person is 4,100. So 72,900. If we go back to this article, it says the result is your adjusted gross income. So your new adjusted gross income pre-tax is 72,900, right? Now, let's look at this. All right. So, here are your tax brackets for 2024. Come on, Nerd Wallet. All right, here we go. All right, we started out at 100,000, right? So the 100,000 for single filers right here is at 24%. And because you maxed out your 401k and you're maxing out your HSA, you go from 24% to 22%. So that's how you take down your taxable income, right? This is what I mean about when we're talking about, hey, how am I preparing for retirement when I'm maxing out my 401k, maxing out my and this is all W2 I'm talking on, right? So we go from that 95 182 to now we drop down here to now we're in this 22%. So I don't know if you all have looked at your 401ks and looked at what they have a savings calculator in your 401ks. I don't know if you looked at that, where you say, okay, I max out my 401k, I max out my HSA. This is what I'm gonna be. This is my savings that I'm gonna get every month, or this is my savings for the year on my on my income, right? So this is where the 401k and the HSA help you out on your taxable income, right? So now let's go back over to here. From there, you'll choose between the standard deduction versus itemizing when you file your taxes during the year. And the 2023 deduction for taxes due in 2024 ranges from 13,850 for single filers to 27,000 to 27 or 28,000 for married couples, right? 14,000 to 28,000. Right? You can subtract that full standard deduction for your filing expenses from your taxable income, regardless of the actual expenses. Or you could opt out to itemize. You can deduct things like your mortgage interest and charitable contributions, but you can't take the standard deduction. So again, you can subtract the full deduction for your filings for your taxable income, regardless of your expenses. So they're saying right here, if you're single, you can just deduct out 13,850. But you may have from your taxable income, regardless of your actual expenses, you may optimize to be itemized. So in your itemization, you can say, okay, well, let's take out my mortgage interest. Let's check out my charitable contributions. Let's take out whatever else you could take out on that, right? Once you subtracted either the standard deduction or your itemized deductions, right? You'll know what your taxable income is. So your goal is to take down that taxable income, right? If you could go from 24 to 12%, you winning. But that's a big gap. That's a $50,000 gap. I don't know nobody that can do a $50,000 takedown. So more than likely, you're gonna get taxed at 22% if you max out your 401k, if you max out your HSA, and then maybe you do something with some contributions or something like that. Now, I'm just telling you from my perspective, you need to have something. And this is why the renting versus the mortgage conversation doesn't make sense, because now you can deduct things like your mortgage interest. So let's go over here and open it up. It didn't say you can deduct your rent. It said mortgage interest. Mortgage interest tax deduction, how it works and when it makes sense. When you file your income tax returns each year, the mortgage interest deduction MID can be one of the most valuable benefits of owning a home, or it can be worthless. The contradiction exists because the value of the MID depends on whether your itemized deductions exceed your standard deduction. What is the standard deduction? The standard deduction number for single filers, and this is in one for 2023 that you're gonna file in 2024. At that time, it was 13,850. If your MID and your charitable contributions do not are not more than your standard, then you're gonna take that standard. So the goal is to get as many deductions as you can. All right. So let's go back over to here. All right. The MID depends on whether your itemized deductions exceed the standard, and that depends on how much mortgage interest you paid during the year. Your other deductions and your standard deductions for your filing status. Sounds complicated? Well, it is. All right. Is mortgage interest tax deductible? Mortgage interest is generally tax deductible. However, you should be aware of some important rules, limits, exclusions before you claim this deduction on your tax returns. The Federal Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 limited the MID into interest paid for your first 750,000 of mortgage debt to for mortgages originated after 2015. I mean after December 15th of 2017. Previously, the limit was 1 million of mortgage debt. For couples married filing separately, those limits are cut in half. All right, so TCJA continued to allow mortgage interest for both a primary residence and a second home to be deducted, but the new law excluded interest for home equity loans unless the funds were used to build, buy, or make substantial improvements to the home that secures the loan. Previously, interest paid for up to 100,000 of home equity debt could be deducted regardless of how the funds were used. The previous rules still important because the TCJA is scheduled to sunset in the year of 2025. 2025. After that, the previous rules will again be effect until Congress extends the TCJA mid provisions or makes other changes to MID. So we got into 2025. So how to claim the mortgage interest rate deduction? To claim MID, you'll have to have itemized your deductions on your tax returns. Itemizing can be complicated and generally makes sense only if your deductions exceed that 13,850, which is available if you choose not to itemize. All right. So TCJ increased the standard deduction for most taxpayers to $12,000 for individuals and $24,000 for joint tax filers, right? And 18,000 for head of households for 2018. Those amounts are index adjusted for inflation, so they typically do change from year to year. Previously, the standard deduction for most taxpayers was 6,500 for individuals, 13,000 for joint filers, and 19,550 for heads of households. How many of y'all knew that what you had a standard tax deduction of 13,850, or you just when you file taxes, you just go up there and say, "Do my taxes," and then we'll go from there. Do y'all itemize? Did y'all know this? Because y'all kind of quiet today, and I don't know if it's making sense to you. Did you know this information? Did you even understand why the 401k and the HSA help you with your taxable income? And this is all W 2. This is all W 2. You just take the standard. You take the 13,850. All right, let's go. All right. The higher amounts will be in effect uh until the TCJA sunsets at the end of 2025, unless Congress extends the standard deduction provisions of the law, or makes other changes to the standard deduction. Since the standard deduction is indexed for inflation, it's impossible to predict in advance the amount for 2026. If you itemize your deductions, you may be able to deduct some or all of your property tax, as well as your mortgage interest on your tax returns. The property tax deduction could help you boost your itemized deductions to exceed your standard deduction and make itemizing worth the effort, right? There's also another reason why the value of your MID may vary year to year. With a typical fixed rate mortgage, the interest portion of your monthly mortgage payment, the part that may be tax deductible, gets smaller as a portion of your payment over time. A smaller deduction may diminish your tax savings. And this is why, even if you do take that standard, you take that standard, which is that 13,850, and you get yourself your tax bracket down to 22. So then you'll take that 23, and so it come out to about 27,000. So you can reduce to 27,000. That's cool. It'd be even better if you could reduce it down another more, right? The MID is part of the federal tax code. State tax codes typically allow this deduction. Special rules may apply and so forth. So, should you buy a home to get the mortgage interest deduction? As a rule, the more income you earn and the bigger your mortgage is, the more valuable the MID may be for you if you itemize your deductions and your itemized deductions exceed the standard deduction for your filing status for a given year. That said, the MID shouldn't be a reason to get a bigger mortgage or any mortgage if you can't afford the monthly payment, or you're not financially comfortable with the payment and so forth. If you're going to buy a home and itemizing your deductions makes sense for you, the MID could be a nice tax saving opportunity to take advantage of. So your MID, and that's what they were talking about over here on this article, your mortgage interest and your charitable contributions. Now, this goes back to what I had asked before. Can I set up a trust and do charitable contributions to my trust? I asked about this. This is a question that I have. Can I set up a trust and do charitable contributions to the trust? Because the trust is going to pay the taxes. Can the trust? Can I do charitable contributions? I can do charitable contributions out of the trust, but can the trust? Can I do? Can I set up a trust and do charitable contributions to the trust that I own? I don't know. I have to ask those questions. All right. Once you subtracted either the standard deduction of your itemized deductions, you'll know your taxable income. You'll use this number to figure out your marginal tax rate. Marginal tax rate. Example of how to determine your marginal tax bracket. Let's assume your filing status is a head of household and you have taxable income of 55,000 in 2023. Your marginal tax rate is 12%. So let's go back over to here. All right, so this is for 2023. So let's see, they said 55. So this is 2023. Let's go back to the article. It says your marginal tax rate is 12%, which can easily see by checking the 2023 bracket tax code. That doesn't mean your actual rate is 12% though. Your tax bill will break down as follows. You owe 10% in the first 15,000, which is 150, and then you owe 12%, and that's what it 22 comes in at, on your next 39,300, which is 55,000 from 15,700, or 4716. Your tax bill would be $6,286, which means your overall tax rate could also be your effective tax rate is 11%, 11.3%. If your income jumped to 660,000, you could find yourself in a higher tax bracket. Your marginal tax rate would climb to 22%, but the 22% tax rate will only apply to the amount of income that is spilled over from the lower tax bracket of the 12%. All the income you earn between 15,000 and 59,000 is still taxed at a 12% rate. Only the last 150 of the income, this is what they're showing here, gets taxed at 22%. As a result, your tax liability breaks down, looks like this: 10%, 12%, 22%. And they doing this in leading up to this, right? So 22% on your, that's what they're talking about on that last dollar. Your marginal tax rate increased significantly from 12 to 22%, but your overall tax rate, aka effective, increased modestly from 11.3 to 11.5 because most of your income is still taxed at a lower bracket. Your tax bill increased from 600 to 6,901. And they're talking, this is what they're showing here. Had a household right here at 55,000 is 12%. That held a household. And this is from 20 for you 20 in 2023, but you're filing at your taxes in 2024. This is what it was last year. I'm gonna give y'all this link so you could go back and read it. So you all can make sure y'all understand how taxes work, how everything works. You need to understand that. And here's they got some more information about effective taxes. I don't want to keep reading this whole thing because it's long. But it's a long article, but I wanted to at least have you understand effective versus marginal. They give a difference. They show you this. They do a deep dive on it. And if you don't, and then when y'all go to file your taxes, ask the person that's filing your taxes to break it down for you on your marginal versus your effective. Uh, what could you have done during the tax year? Um, and so forth. So let me look up single filer tax deductions. Uh let me see. All right. Um what are some tax deductions you can have as a single person? Well, we know that your 401k and your HSA help you. We know that you can do your mortgage if you have one, right? What else can you oh, charitable contributions, right? That can help you. What else can help you with your tax deductions as a single person that's working W-2, not 1099? As a single person working W-2, not 1099. What can you itemize? What else can you itemize? Let me see. You could probably leverage your losses and your wins on your not on your 401k, but your brokerage account. Let's look. All right. Investment income also may be subject to a 3.8 tax if you're above a certain income threshold. In general, if your modified adjusted gross income, modified adjusted gross is more than 200,000 or 250,000, you may owe taxes. Right? You may owe. All right, so here we go. Taxes rules vary depending on the type of brokerage account and the investment you own, right? All right, brokerage accounts can be taxed depending on the type of account. There are three main types of brokerage accounts: a traditional retirement account, Roth retirement accounts, and taxable non retirement brokerage accounts. Each type of account receives a different tax treatment. They can be itemized, yep. But again, like I'm not sure if that's is that under 1099 or is that under W-2? Your working clothes. I know your education can, but I don't know about your working clothes. Maybe. Maybe that's on the nurses, right? Retirement accounts are tax deferred, meaning you pay no taxes on the earnings within the account. Yeah, I included the HSA already. Your HSA and your 401k. Instead, you may owe taxes with when you withdraw the money. Non-retirement brokerage accounts, also called taxable brokerage accounts, don't have the same tax deferred advantage. In these accounts, investment earnings and capital gains are taxable income to the owner in the calendar year when they happen. So that's why they always try to tell you all to hold your mule for 1 year. Hold whatever you invest in, hold it for 1 year so it doesn't trigger a tax event unless you're reinvesting, right? How are brokerage accounts taxed? When you earn money in a taxable brokerage account, you must pay taxes on that money in the year it's received, not when you withdraw it from the account. These earnings are called or come from realized gains, dividends, or interest. When you sell a security like a stock for more than you bought it, the difference is taxed as a capital gain. For example, if you bought a stock at $100, then it sells for 150, you'll still owe on that $50 of capital gains. How much tax you owe would depend on how long you held the investment. The sale of the investment held for less than 1 year is treated as a short-term capital gain and subject to taxation at ordinary income tax rates that could go as high as 37%. The sale of an investment held for greater than 1 year is treated as long-term capital gains and subject to taxation at long-term capital gains taxes that like qualified dividends are taxed at favorable rates between 0 to 20%. So I told you a year. Gotta hold on to a year. Hold on to your love. Mm, 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 mm. All right. So both your ordinary income tax rate and capital gains tax rate depend on how much income you earn in a year. Since the difference between ordinary income tax rate and capital gains tax rates can be significant, it's important to think carefully before selling an asset you've held for less than 1 year. Your stocks are assets. Your stock accounts are assets. The money that you use in your 401k to buy stocks are assets. Don't let people trick you out your assets. Don't let people trick you out your income. Don't let people trick you out your dividends. Don't do it. All right. Taxpayers with modified adjusted gross incomes of more than 200,000 for single filers, more than 250,000 for married filing jointly, or more than 125 for married filing separately may owe 3.8% tax on net investment income earned during the year on top of their ordinary income or capital gains tax. There's also tax exempt income that is tax free for the IRS, but may be taxable on your state tax return, right? Tax exempt income. She gives an example of Ohio bond that produces interest income. The tax exempt income would be exempt from federal taxes on Ohio State, on Ohio taxes. But if you file in New York for income taxes, Ohio tax exempt interest would not be exempt from New York income taxes, right? All right. How are dividends taxed? Dividends are also taxed in the year they're received when the security is held in a taxable brokerage account. How dividends are taxed depends on if they're qualified or ordinary dividends, also known as non-qualified dividends. If you held it in a short term, if you held it in a short term, right? So while qualified dividends that meet certain IRS standards are taxed at lower rates, the standards include that you held investment for more than 60 days and the dividend is paid by a US corporation or a qualified foreign corporation. For more information on qualified dividends, see the IRS publication 500. Here I'm gonna give y'all this. So this is the publication 500, investment income and expenses. Here, I'll give you this. Oh yeah, that's what I said. If she held it under the year, yeah, yeah. You ain't stepping on my toes. Hey, if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm okay with that. But you gotta bring the facts though. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If she had that investment, that 37%, and it earned, and I mean, if she sold it and got some gains, yeah, held under a year. So that's why if y'all are gonna do day trading, day trading is one of those ones you got to look at it from. Um, you got to look at it from the perspective of what's gonna be that tax on that. How can I set this up so I'm not triggering all these different tax events, like, I don't know. I like day trading, but I can see why people get into trouble real quick. You said what's the difference between qualified and non-qualified investment? Uh, I did it in there, but let's go here. Let's use our friend. Let's use our friend Chat GPT. What is the difference? Because maybe that wasn't good enough between qualified and non-qualified investments. And then I'll go back to the article. Let's see what the old chat say. All right, let's scroll up. Qualified and non-qualified investment refer to categorizations based on the tax treatment and the eligibility for certain tax benefits. Here's the difference. Qualified investments typically refer to those made with pre-tax dollars or investments that offer tax advantages. So your 401ks, your IRAs, even your certain keywords, certain annuities, right? Are examples of qualified investments. So your pre-tax dollars um help you out. All right. These investments are often offer tax deferred growth, meaning you don't pay taxes on the investment gains until you withdraw the money. So withdrawing that money early is a tax penalty, or withdrawing that money when you retire, there's a drawdown. And I have a article that I pulled up because a lot of y'all need to understand that you don't want to have this big tax bill when you go to retire because you invested all in your 401k on the traditional side of your Roth 401k or your traditional side of your Roth IRA. You want to also invest in your Roth side of your IRA or your 401k. And the reason why, because when you hit that 59 and a half and you start drawing from your Roth side, you don't want to have a big tax bill because everything sits in your traditional. So this is when you start needing to have the conversation of, well, when do I do my Roth conversion, or when do I do a conversion? Because you're gonna get taxed on that money when you go to draw down, and you're gonna get taxed on that money. You want to alleviate yourself the tax bill, is what I'm saying. All right. So your non-qualified investments are those made with after-tax dollars. I got my check. Is the taxes have already came out. Before I got my check, my pre-qualified money has already left my account. It's sitting in my 401k. It's sitting in my IRA. It's all out there. It's doing this thing. So, and let me while I'm here, since we on this subject, I didn't want this to be a conversation, but it has turned into it. It's okay though. I appreciate it. All right, so let me pull this up. All right, I got it downloaded. Let me open it up because this goes into that three bucket strategy that I was talking about. Whenever it decides to open up here, it's coming. All right, okay. Yeah, just close for me. Thank you. All right, so mm, here we go. Right here. Here we go. Taxable income, tax deferred, tax free. This is goes back to that three bucket strategy that I was talking about. Your taxable income, and they got examples down here, so I just want you to be aware of that, right? So let's blow it up so we can just see the taxable income. All right. So let's work off of that, right? So here, yeah, taxable right here. So we know what taxable income is. We should know by now what taxable income is because I've talked about it, right? We are aware of this. So let's look at what our taxable income is. Savings and CDs are taxable income. Investment accounts, real estate, business, and they got other under there. But let's just focus on the top three or top four. Savings and CDs, investments, real estate, business income, taxable income. Now, when I talk about your 401k and your HSA, right? We come over here to this right here. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it like that. Here we go. Your tax deferred income, tax deferred income. So tax deferred income could be your 401k, your IRA, certain annuities. Not all annuities are well, yeah, annuities are depending on the annuity, right? So you can get into an annuity that you may pay into and can't draw out money until 59 and a half, depending on the annuity, right? Now, let's go into tax deferred because your 401k, your Roth 401k can be tax deferred and tax free. Your Roth IRA can be tax deferred and tax free. So, in all, I'm going to go over the tax free in a minute. You could have a brokerage account where you're playing within your brokerage account. You can have your Roth 401k on the traditional side. You can have your HSA as tax deferred. And then over here on the tax free, your Roth account. So the Roth side of your 401k, the Roth side of your IRA, right? And then you could also have municipal bonds as your tax free. Now, I've talked about these municipal bonds before. They're not going to do a whole lot in the market. The most you're going to get out of those municipal bonds is 2%, maybe 3%. These are the safe investments, but you're like, hey, how can I grow my money tax free? I just want to put my money in there and let it go tax free. That's your other side of that. Sure, you could go throw your money into HSA and go and get your savings or your high yield savings account. You could throw when I should have said it's high yield savings account, not HSA. Throw your money into your high yield savings account and let it earn 5%. Uh your municipal bonds. Again, I'm always looking for ways where I could diversify my money, right? Where I could diversify my money. Some people look at, and I'm not, let me look up this one here. Let's see. Let me see. Um, yeah, T bills. So T bills are the interest income that you may receive from investing in a treasury bill and is exempt from state and local income taxes, right? State and local income taxes, but not federal. So that's on the T bill side. So on the if you want to get your taxes down on the state side, you can invest in your state, like construction, infrastructure, so forth, and invest in T bills in your state to help get your state income, get exemptions for state and local income. And I'll show you what I'm reading right here, right? So, T bill, the interest income that you receive from investing in a treasury bill is exempt from state or local income taxes, regardless of the state where you file your taxes. However, you will need to report the interest income from these investments on your federal tax return, on your federal side. And then they got a breakdown right here of how T bills work and so forth. Now, there are people that do T bill laddering. There is bond laddering, municipal bond laddering. There's all kind of things. So muni bonds. So what's the average return on municipal bonds? Yeah, see, municipal bonds, they ain't doing nothing. So national 2.75 on a 10-year, 20 years 3.75, 30-year 4.05. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing. The current yield right now is 2.5%, 4.25%. And here's one from Raymond James. If you're not familiar with Raymond James, you need to go look up Raymond James. All right. And they talk about the different ones, municipal, AAA, all the different ones here. But I'm just pointing out to you what uh your options are. Going back over here to understanding, and when we're talking about this three bucket system here, taxable income, tax deferred, tax free, three bucket strategy. Where in this three bucket strategy, you could have your brokerage account working for you. You can have your traditional side of your 401k, IRA, and then the Roth side of here. These are typically where most people probably lie in. All right. This is probably what most people play around in most of the time. Most of the time. All right. So you got your savings, your CD, your investments, your real estate, your business income, and then tax deferred, 401, IRA, annuity, and so forth. And then your Roth side, the free side, right? Because you pay on the Roth, you pay the taxes going into your Roth. You pay on taxes going into your Roth, right? So for the year of 2020 four, you can put $23,000 into your 401k. Now, how much of that are you gonna put on your Roth side, and how much of that are you gonna put on your traditional side? Remember, whatever you invest on your Roth side does not bring down your taxable income. It does not bring down your taxable income. So if you're saying I'm gonna divide it up into half, and I'm gonna do half, I'm gonna do 20, I'm gonna take 23,000 and divide it in half. I'm gonna do half of that in my 401k on the traditional side and half of it in my Roth. You're only gonna bring down your taxable income, whatever half you put into that on that traditional side. It's not gonna be the combination of the two. It's only gonna be that traditional side. All right. I hope this makes sense for you all. All right, that's Benny. All right. And this right here it talks about how interest is taxed and how are retirement accounts taxed, right? Interest is another type of taxable investment income. Interest can be earned on cash, fixed income securities like bond and bond mutual funds. Interest income is generally taxed as ordinary incomes. And we saw that in the bucket strategy, right? We saw that with the bucket, right? Uh, oh, here it is over here. Come on back. Uh, they don't want to come up for me. We saw that right here. CDs, savings, bonds, taxable income. All right. So how are retirement accounts taxed? With retirement accounts, taxation is a bit simpler. Traditional retirement accounts are funded with pre-tax dollars and are not taxed until the money is withdrawn from the account. You can generate unlimited capital gains, dividends, or interest within that account and do not have to pay any taxes, but you would need to pay ordinary income taxes on the money you withdraw from that account in the year you take, distribution. Individuals who think they may be in a lower tax bracket in retirement prefer to use traditional retirement accounts. Now, Roth retirement accounts are funded with after tax dollars and can be tax free. Tax free. We talked about that one, right? Similar to traditional retirement accounts, you pay no income tax on earnings or capital gains received within the Roth. And if you meet certain requirements, such as having the account for at least 5 years, having it the long this time in the market, You won't have to pay any taxes when you withdraw the money either. This can make Roth accounts a great tool for minimizing investment taxes. We want to get the taxes down, right? So how to minimize brokerage account taxes, right? How do we minimize brokerage account taxes? These are strategies investors can use to minimize brokerage account taxes. The most obvious is to use tax deferred retirement accounts whenever possible. Yep. Outside of retirement accounts, you can also minimize taxes by being strategic about when you sell investments. You can avoid the higher short term capital gain tax rate by not selling appreciated investments until you have held them in more than 1 year. Another strategy is to use tax loss harvesting, where you take the capital gains loss on the investments to offset the capital gains. You can sell a security at a loss, and use the amount to offset the $3,000 of capital gains each year. Any losses you don't use in a given tax year can be carried forward. So again, review your actual portfolio on your brokerage side, which is taxable income, to see where you can do tax loss harvesting, so you don't have to pay capital gains within playing with your brokerage account, right? So just be aware that the wash sell rule, which states that if you sell one security at a loss and purchase the same or substantially similar security within 30 days of the sale, either before, the loss is disallowed. It doesn't matter where the investor sells or buys the asset, it can be sold in an account at one brokerage and repurchased at a different brokerage account in a different brokerage in a different account, but it is all treated the same for determining whether there is a watch sale rule. If, however, a particular investment is sold at a gain, it could be repurchased at any time because the watch sale rule only applies to recognizing losses. You can also use tax managed funds that focus on tax efficiency and may perform tax loss harvesting as a part of this strategy while avoiding dividend paying companies, right? And it goes on to talk about more stuff, but I think you got the idea of watching your taxes as your income increases. How do you utilize your brokerage account? How do you utilize your 401k? How do you utilize your income to purchase real estate? How do you use your income to buy a business? How do you use your income to do Roth and so forth, right? These are things that you are going to have to start getting really savvy with, so you can, when you go to retire, you don't have that big loss on your, in terms of the taxes that are going to be taken out and so forth. Ms. Phoenix, just ask your question. I don't know. Do y'all want this article? I'll give it to D. I do a screenshot of that PDF and put it on the community channel. You all have this one. Did I give you marginal versus this one? Yeah, I did. Do you have this mortgage interest tax deduction? I don't know if you got that. Thanks, Chat GPT. Okay. What time we're looking like? All right. I ain't gonna be able to get through all my stuff today. It's okay. That's all right. I'm gonna be sad though. Looking to see where I want to go next. Okay. Let's stay in the lines of 401ks, Roths, investing in stocks. The Roth conversions. Convert everything you go, everything at once, or as you go. So this is what I was talking about here. You said if I sell a share of Chevron stock at a loss and buy a share of DTE stock within that time frame, does that apply? Both companies are in the same sector. I don't think it cares about the sectors. I think it cares more or less with a gain and a loss there. So you're saying if I bought a share of Chevron, um, and it depends on how long have you held Chevron, right? How long have you held it? That's the key. Did you buy Chevron and hold it for a year, or you bought Chevron and sold it because you didn't like the way it was performing, and then you turned around and took that money that you sold from that when you sold Chevron and then went and bought DTE energy stock. Oh, well then if Chevron was held over a year, you're fine. You're fine. It's the people that's have Chevron for 30 days. And this is why people do options. This is where the options come into play, right? So, two hypothetical scenarios, examples of Roth conversions made at different times will show you the stark difference in what could be left to your beneficiaries, right? So let's go. Yeah, for many Americans, taxes will most likely be one of the largest expenses in retirement. With some provisions that the TCJA coming in the end of 2025, there seems to be additional emphasis on getting your IRA and Roth conversions done before it's too late. Even though IRA to Roth conversions may be effective now, then in the future, it begs the question how much? Is it possible to convert too much? If so, how would that hurt your retirement? What risk would you take if you didn't do any IRA to Roth conversions? This article is intended to teach one of the many principles behind tax minimization. That's the word I've been looking for. I said it though, minimize your taxes, but tax minimization. Please take into consideration the following is an oversimplification of a complex situation. Many additional factors can play the role in your tax minimization strategy. So, as you start to make more money, you're going to need to start looking at tax minimization. I'll bring it back up again for those in the back that missed out, that joined us just now. Uh, Remember, we're talking here on the three different buckets here, right? Where you have your taxable income, your tax deferred, and your tax free. We want all our money. We want all our money. We want prenup. We want prenup. We want trust. We want trust. We want everything that we have worked for. We want it protected. Start focusing and looking at and into asset protection. Remember, your stocks that you purchase, your 401k, your IRA, your HSA, because your HSA can play the stock market. You need to be sure that it is protected. You need to protect your assets, right? Protect your assets. All right. So let's go. Now it says how to decide when to convert. Let's say you're 60 years old and about to retire, and have 1 million in your pre-tax dollars saved in your IRA. And let's pretend the IRS has simplified the income brackets and offered you two options. That's fine. Option one: convert as much as you want this year from your IRA pre-tax to your Roth IRA at a fixed rate of 20%. So that 1 million you're going to convert, take 20% off of that 1 million, that's what you got. Or lock in a guaranteed 15% tax with distribution limits for the rest of your life. You can't do large conversions. Which would you pick? Assuming that you intend to spend $45,000 net of tax per year with a 2% living adjustment, cost of living adjustment from your portfolio growing to 7% each year, and you live to 95. So they say you're going to pretty much start off at a 2%. And remember, let's be clear, D. Let's go back. Let's be clear. I want to be clear. Let's be clear. Your tax deferred, your 401k is one bucket and one source of income. It's not all the source, it's one source of income. So you could have $1 million in tax deferred, or 2.5 million in tax deferred. You can have 700,000, 800,000 sitting over in taxable, and then tax free you could have another million, 2 million, whatever that, however you slice this up. So the tax deferred is one bucket. It's just one bucket of your income. You're gonna have multiple buckets of income coming in. So this could be at 600,000 on tax deferred. You could have 800,000 in taxable. You can have another 800,000 in tax free. However you want to slice that up, right? But the goal is tax minimization. Tax minimization. All right. So we're just talking about one bucket in this case. All right, option one. If you converted 1 million from your IRA, which is pre-tax, to your Roth side of your IRA at an effective tax rate of 20% in 1 year, you would pay $200,000, and have $800,000 left over in your Roth that can grow tax-free and distribute tax-free and pass tax-free benefits to your tax free to your beneficiaries, right? Again, I like to be visual. I hope this helps. They're saying you're gonna take that 1 million over here, you're gonna take it and convert it over to your Roth side at a 20%, and now that money moves from tax deferred to your tax free, and that's at 20%. So that 1 million was at 20%, and it dropped down to tax free at that conversion of 200,000, right? So you got hit with a $200,000 tax bill on that conversion. Now you can convert as you go. If you were to convert as you go, you would start with a pre-tax account balance of 1 million. However, your annual distributions would need to be higher in order to meet your net income of 45,000. In other words, to enjoy 45,000 after taxes, you would need to take a gross distribution of 52,941, assuming the promised 15% effective. I talked about this effective tax rate in this example. We talked about marginal and effective. And you need, when you're reading these articles, you need to know what the difference is. So your effective tax rate in this example you would pay 7,900, leaving 45,000 net in taxes to spend in retirement. Don't forget, net income target grows 2% next year. So next year you're gonna grow this 2%. You're not gonna say I'm at 52,901. You're gonna put 2% on top of that, and next year you're gonna take out. You're gonna keep increasing as you get older, right? In this scenario, you will pay around $412,000, 412,896 in taxes over the rest of your life from 60 to 95. Nothing would have been converted to Roth, meaning your beneficiaries would pay the taxes on what's left. So which scenario would you pick? For some of you, you may want to convert everything up front and pay less in taxes. However, it may be considered deceptive to compare the two by the total tax dollar amount that was paid, and here is why. Assuming your annual portfolio increase of 7%, which your portfolio, if it's following the S&P 500, or you're following along with SPY, or you got some ETF, or whatever the case may be, you may get a 7% increase each year. Remember? So you even though you have 1 million sitting there, that 1 million could also increase 7% each year, provided that you don't overspend, right? So the option one would have about $100,000 left in the portfolio tax free, while option two will have about 792,000 left in the portfolio pre tax. Even when you consider the fact that the beneficiary will pay taxes, there's still more to be enjoyed. Here's a chart that shows the projected account balances between the two options. Okay, we got a million, and I'm gonna see. Oh yeah, it's like 20% just right off the rip. This is what it looks like over time. But if you left and did 15% each year over time, this is what it would look like over time. You'd be at like at 752. The conclusion: tax minimization is a percentage problem, not a dollar problem. When people say I want to pay the least amount of taxes possible, I can't help but wonder if they understand this principle. Do you want to pay less taxes overall, or do you want to maximize your retirement income while preserving your estate? There are two different goals that require different strategies. All things being equal, the math suggests that it's better to convert a portion of your IRA assets into Roth assets to a certain point, and then maintain a lower than anticipated tax bracket for the rest of your life. It is challenging to calculate and comprehend how much you should convert each year without a comprehensive financial plan. Tax planning minimization is highly nuanced. Other factors may affect your tax minimization strategies that can be fleshed out with a comprehensive financial plan. Capital gains, your social security taxes, your pension versus your lump sum, your RMDs, your IRMA, your Medicare premiums, longevity, charitable intent, and where assets go when you pass, right? Once you convert a sufficient amount of assets, you may be able to maintain your taxable income within a certain bracket, allowing this principle and potentially keep your hard earned money, right? So they go a little bit more into this, but I'm telling you now, you all need to start. If you're 25 now to 30, you need to be investing as much money as you can so that you can retire early, right? But if you are between, I'm gonna say 35 and older, you should start retirement early, like looking at retirement planning early. But specifically saying most people who are 25 to 35, they're still getting their stride, they're still getting their skills up to date. You're still trying to figure out, is this is where I'm gonna be at for the next 5 to 10 years, this, that, and other. At 35, you probably have figured that out, or at least started over and figured that out. But now you need to understand what these Roth conversions mean, these 401k. How do I do this? What does this mean? What is my taxable income, tax deferred, all these different tax strategies you need to be aware of, and you need to seek counsel. I'm not telling you to go take your money to somebody and have them invest it for you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is you need to understand tax, what the capital gains are, what are your tax penalties you're gonna have. What does this look like if I did this? How much do I really want to invest in my Roth side? When you get 50, you need to be looking at, well, I know at 59 and a half, right, I can start having money distributed out to me. But if I don't have no money in my Roth and I got everything in my on my traditional side, then I don't leave myself no room to play with something, right? And here's what I'm talking about. On my Roth side at your 59 and a half. And they're supposed to be doing away with this. I'm still waiting to see what the outcome is that of like, because there's like people need their 401k money, and why should they be penalized for it? So they're supposed to be doing away with this. But for right now, it is what it is. All right, so 59 and a half, if you had in your Roth, uh say $200,000, and say an emergency comes up, but you don't have no emergency fund money set aside, you can go pull it from your Roth and be okay. You could almost treat it like your emergency fund if you wanted to. If you wanted to. Here's the other thing you get a chance to also kind of have with your Roth is you can have in with your Roth, you can go make decisions on, like, okay, do I want to just live on that money, or do I want to take part of that money, even though, because some of you may still be working at 60, and set my house up for retirement. And here's what I'm saying: set my house up for retirement, meaning I'm going to pay off whatever is left if it's not already paid for. I am going to take any house improvements that I want to do. I'm gonna set up a budget, like the major things that you want to do. You want to do the major things, right? You may want to even look at just taking care of, just looking at, okay, well, it, my life insurance policy and my plan. You may want to buy a plot. you may you may want to buy an urn. Uh, you may want to be me thrown out across the sea or something like that. Like, just I'm just saying, you should be thinking about how you want these things to be distributed amongst your family members. Like, are you gonna leave 2 million to your son, right? You gonna leave 2 million to your son? Do you want to leave 2 million amongst your family to divide it up by themselves? Do you want to leave money to do you want to have a portion of your money come out as you get older to help grandkids? What does that look like? 529 plan. What does that look? Custodial accounts. What does that look like? These are all things that everyone should be looking at, whether you have kids or not, whether you have family members that you can rely on or not. Think about how you want to spend your life and your money, right? Spend your life and your money. Put a one in the chat if you fill in the information today or not. Like, or if you fill in the information, put a two in the chat if you're not filling the information. I'm just trying to make sure that I get this information out to y'all, and so forth, right? All right. All right. So let's go here. Still along the line of investing. Okay, BlackRock. All right, BlackRock launches a digital asset fund backed by $100 million on Ethereum. BlackRock launches a digital asset fund backed by 100 million on Ethereum. How many of y'all have been getting updates on what your Ethereum investing has looked like? What your Bitcoin has been looking like? Have you been getting the news every day? Have y'all been seeing the run ups? Just curious. Ethereum right now is sitting at 3505 and Bitcoin is at 65. Right? Right? What's going on, Eda man? Did you come to argue today, Eda man? Because you know I'm ready. All right, so all right, Bitcoin is at 65 and we have Ethereum is at 3405. All right, so let's go. And this is on a dark screen, so it's kind of hard to see on these dark screens. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. All right. BlackRock USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, liquidity fund was incorporated in the British Virgin Islands and will be launched in partnership with the Securitized, a token firm. According to the wallet data from Etherscan, BlackRock deposited Circle's USDC stablecoin into a wallet on the Ethereum network. BlackRock is continuing to its journey into digital asset industry following the spot Bitcoin ETF launched earlier this year. The company's Bitcoin ETF has been one of the best performing Bitcoin products out of the field of its new launches in 2024. Additionally, BlackRock, uh, ticker symbol BLK, uh, also has a pending application for spot Ethereum, which is Ethereum Ether ETH ETF, which the SEC is putting off approval of. Right. So I want to also talk about BlackRock as well too. BLK is the ticker symbol, and I'm gonna pull it up on the screen. Um, and BlackRock just paid out dividends. I don't know if you have BlackRock, but I can tell you, BlackRock paid out dividends, and they pay a dividend out at um $5.10 per share. $5.10 per share on their dividends. All right. Ticker symbol BLK. And I'm going to have to open up my other account. This is BLK here. Each share is 524. If you go to the max, a max return of BLK has been at 5,737%. 5,737%. I just stick with the basics on the crypto. Basics, Ethereum, Bitcoin. There are other ones out there. Uh, all the other ones. I don't get into it. I watch them. I watch all the videos. I look at them. I see how they play. I just don't get involved. All right. So right here, that was the 2017. Let's go here. Right here. BlackRock new spot Bitcoin ETF tops 1 billion in its big first day of trading. BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF led a crowded field by field of new issuers as the spot Bitcoin ETF, spot Bitcoin funds began trading on Thursday. Grayscale ETF, which is a conversion, thank you for the ad, and not like the rival funds, had more volume, but a lot of trading is believed to be from investors selling, right? So this is their ETF, their foray into the spot Bitcoin ETF, right? All right, so let's go back over here. Let me pull up my other stuff. Hold on. And we'll go look at BLK here. Okay. Let me do a search. And it's US markets. And we're going to type in BLK. Okay. Make sure everything is right on this one. Yeah, we good to go. All right, BLK. And let me expand my screen some there. Okay, cool. BLK. All right. Um Year to date. There you go there. But let's go look at the dividends on this one for BlackRock. So um you can see increasing dividends on BlackRock. Increasing dividends on BlackRock, right? So you can see for, and we let's look and see. I think there are they quarterly or they yearly payouts. Let's look. It looks like they may be quarterly. Yeah, they look like they may be quarterly. Yeah. So paid out in on payment date on March 2022. They announced it on the 15th of January. The payout was March 22nd. You had to be in the actual stock. You had to own the actual stock before March the 6th. And the payout was $5.10. You can see back last year for 2023, it was paying $5. So the one share is $838. The one share is $838. Um, you can let me see. I wonder if you can do slices on BLK. Let's look. Mm, mm, mm. And let me type in BLK. Yep, you can do slices. All right. So here are slices. So in Charles Schwab, you if $800 is too much for you to get into a stock or any stock of that matter, and you have to go look these up. Like you have to go look them up. You can see here there's a $5 minimum premium stock purchase. I don't know if you can see that. It looks a little small. I'm gonna blow it up right there. There's a $5 minimum per stock purchase. So basically I could come into here if I want a dollar cost average or whatever the case may be. I could go buy $5 of BlackRock, right? So there are ways to get into stocks, and this is what I say before. You can get into different stocks if you feel like you can't do the major investment now. You can get into these stocks by buying $5 worth of them, $10 worth of them. Just set up a you can set up an automatic purchase of $5 on these stocks and just boom, just buy these stocks $5 at a time if you want to. Now, let's go back. Um, go back one page. Okay, so here is BlackRock, and let's close this. And they have a rating of B over here, and you can come over here and look at the Schwab's equity rating report here. You can look at it right here where they have the MCI ESG rating report. They have their Morningstar rating report, and they also talk about what as of 2015, is it a sell, under, hold, out, buy, right? And they got the different places that pretty much give different ratings. All right, so let's scroll back up here and just get a percentile rating of 28. Um, let me see. There was some other stuff that BlackRock did this week too. All right, so here 2024, the next earnings call is what's this, March, April, January, February, March, April, yeah, April 12th of 2024. Time of release before the market open. All right, so here is what they're looking at: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. That's what they're looking at there. And then they have everything that from last year, historical earnings and so forth. And then this is how they are comparing BlackRock against other. So this is, let me see if it highlights: Charles Schwab Corporation, Goldman Sachs, S&P Global, and then Morgan Stanley. You can see the last prices on these. You can see the market cap on these. You can see the annual dividend yield. Morgan Stanley is rolling. I'm also invested in Morgan Stanley. And they also talk about their net profit margin. Also talk about the net profit margin. They also talk about the total current assets, their total assets, the liabilities, their debt, their total equity, the total liabilities, and equity and shareholders. Yeah, you do lose all your equity when your property goes into that trust, because the trust is owns it, right? Right, $5.10 uh dividend paid per share. That's pretty good on a dividend. $5, that's pretty good. All right, so now let's go up here. And this is BlackRock. And we got here because of their launch of their spot Bitcoin ETF. All right, so let's go here. Oops. Let me see if I can blow this up. Okay. As of 3/20/2024, it has been outperforming. That's what we saw, that OUT outperforming. It is a buy. It is a buy. Schwab equity ratings is saying buy this. It is outperforming. I just showed you how to buy if you don't have $800. You can buy $5. Five $5 foot long. Five $5 foot long. So you can buy $5 worth, right? $5 worth. Always go to these when you got Schwab or go look and see what they say is going on with this, and why do they rate it as something to buy. Like what's going on with BlackRock? What's the movement here? What's the movement here? And then look at what does it look like for the past week? What does it look like for the past week? I'll go to that in a minute. Then it said rationale behind our B rating for this, right? So they talk about it right here. Cause see up here they gave it a rating of a B. And before they said last week's rating was a C. But this week they gave it a B, right? It says for details about inputs to Charles Ecuador and see Charles Ecuador ratings, foundations in the stocks article library under market insight. Here they gave a growth grade of a C. Last week it was negative. This week they're neutral. Quality grade, they're neutral. Sentiment grade, stability, neutral. I mean, neutral on sentiment, but stability, they gave last week it was positive. This week it was positive, right? So this is how they're looking at it. And then they got the volume history of looking at the volume history of this, right? Just I would just go straight to this. What I would do if you're trying to open up a Charles Schwab or a Fidelity account, just go straight there, open up the account. Then go and look at, and I'll bring this up in a minute. Go look at what they have the inside of Charles Schwab or Fidelity or whatever you choose, M1 Finance, whatever, as the things that you can educate yourself on. Take notes. And after you do that for the first 2 weeks, on the third week, go set up an appointment and go and buy and go to and talk to an actual charge SWAT officer, and tell them, or a fidelity officer, your plan, what you're trying to learn, your questions and so forth and so on, and let them talk to you in general. Now let's be clear. To be a financial advisor, you only need to have a net worth of 35,000. I bet you all didn't know that. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to get out of that person that you're talking to, and what knowledge do they have? Now they should have some type of certification. But I'm telling you, do your own education first, so you don't get there and you're like, what is a dividend? What is a slice? What is this? What is that? I don't know. I want you to go equip yourself with the basics. Go equip yourself with the basics, right? Go equip yourself with the basics. Now, certain financial advisors, like if you go and start talking to some of these people, and you can go look them up on I forget the name of it. I think is it NEA? I forget. It's national something. No, I'm thinking about enrolled agent. I'm thinking about an enrolled agent, because the enrolled agent is for the 1099, but it's a national enrolled agent something something. But anyway, go look at what they've done. Now, certain financial advisors won't even talk to you unless you got a net worth of 250,000, and they're gonna ask you to prove that. You got to upload your documents and the whole nine. Now, when I was in Colorado, I worked with a guy, and you had to prove to him that your net worth was at least 250,000. Now, here's the other side of investing that I talk about, but I don't think y'all really pay attention to it. So when I'm reading those Market Watch articles and they say, "Hey, I talked to our advisor and we pay them 1.5% a year, and they manage my fund," what they're saying is, I've turned over and relinquished all rights to my brokerage account, and I have a minimum of $250,000 in there, and they're going to make trades on my behalf that they see best fit in order to grow my money. And I'm going to pay him or her to do as they please. And if they lose money, I accept the risk. If they gain money, I accept the risk. So the question you have to ask yourself, are you willing to give up access, not necessarily access to your portfolio, but give the reins over to someone else to manage your money and grow it? Some people are okay with that. Some people are not okay with that. But the question you have to ask yourself, do you have enough knowledge to continue to grow your money? And so this is where it comes into play, like, well, what is a Roth conversion? What is a taxable event? What are capital gains? What am I doing? Because remember, you can have somebody manage all your assets. And you could just be like, I watch my hands of it, just make sure it grow. And you meet with that person either quarterly or once a year, and then you on your merry little way. It's all fun and games till you swipe your card and it don't work. It's all fun and games till you go in there like that one lady trusted the guy last week with her account. He said he was gonna grow it. He spent $400,000 out of her account and 200,000 out of her 401k for a total of 600,000. That lady was a nurse and had her money saved up and was probably ready to retire and had a retirement plan. Now, here's another thing that you can do with some advisors. You can go and say, this is how much I'm going to earn for the rest of my life. I'm not leaving this job. Or if I do leave this job, I'm going to always maintain this salary. They can walk you through setting up a budget. And you can set up yourself a budget where you know every month that you're going to put in $5,000 into several different buckets. So every month you'll say, I got $5,000 and my $5,000 are going to go into these buckets right here. I don't care what it is, what the world is doing. I don't care what's going on. But that $5,000 is coming out, whether it's pre-tax or not, and it's going into these buckets here. Now, how many of y'all are putting away at least 25% of your income? So let's talk about it real quick. All right, so let's say you made $120,000 a year and you're gonna put away 25% of your income. So that's $30,000. Let's divide that by 12. That's 2,500 a month. Off the rip, you should be having 23,000 plus the 4,100. So that's 27 right there. Automatically gone pre-tax dollars. Right? Suppose you got your money set up, and let's go ahead and do this too. Let's do the 120 minus the 23,000 minus the 4,100. And then let's multiply that by 0.7. And then let's divide this by 12. So every month you taking home $5,400. I took out the pre-tax already, so you really taking home 5,400. And let's say you got a roommate or something like that, or you got somebody helping you out with rent. So let's just say you paying, I don't know, $1,200 a month. and let's say your car note is like 500, and let's say utilities, cell phone, everything, student loan, everything. We just gonna put up 1,000. I'm being generous here. All right, 27.19 for the month, right? Um, and let's say like, and I'm being really generous. Let's say you spend, I don't know, about 250 in groceries. So that's 24.69, right, for the month. I divide that in two. So about $1,200 left over per pay period. I'm being generous. I'm being generous here. Cause your rent is not 1,000 if unless you got a roommate. I'm saying I'm throwing it in there saying you got a roommate. All right, so uh 1234 left per pay period. So you essentially you got probably like $1,000, maybe 500 to $1,000 to play with. So five, I'll be nice and say you gonna do the good thing. You're gonna fall in the middle. You're gonna do 700, and we're gonna multiply that by 12. That's 8,400. So you got 8,400 that you invest into maybe a brokerage account or something of that nature. You can, if you're feeling really, really, really froggy, you could probably do $10,000 and put $10,000 away every year. But you're gonna have to work and discipline yourself in order to do that. I got to do that today. I got to sit down today and I got to go through all my accounts and start cutting off who's ciphering money out of my accounts. Who's who's ciphering money out of my accounts. So I got to go do that myself. But again, you can do a budget for yourself. You can set your budget up so you can always hit that mark and always know what you got left over and always know what's going into your investments. It's going to take work, I think. Let's look at this. Let's say you at 55,000 and you max out your 401k pre-tax minus your HSA times point 0.7 and divide that by 12. That's 1,600 a month that you got to live off of. You probably can't max out your 401k at 55,000, right? So let's go back. And usually how it works is it's 55,000 and they say what percentage do you want to put in? So you say you're going to put in 0.07. That's 3850. So that's 55,000 minus 3850. You said you can do the 40 the HSA, and now you take that and multiply that by and then divide by 12. Your monthly income is 2744. So that's why I always say it behooves you to get up to the 100,000 at a minimum. I really prefer 200 time. Well, I'll do minus minus that 23,000 minus that 4,100 times that by, I mean, I should divide that by the 12, and that looks better for you to have on your on monthly take home. That look a whole lot better. You can't max out your 401k. And a lot of people would say, Tamika, I don't care about maxing out my 401k because my investment strategy is Bitcoin. My investment strategy is all crypto. My investment strategy is buying gold. My investment strategy is buying municipal bonds. I don't care nothing about that tax deferred. I don't care nothing about your three bucket strategy. You can keep that. That's garbage. And you can do that. you could say, you know what, I'm not doing, I decline my 401k. I decline an HSA. I'm keeping all my money. Let's say you keep all your money. You don't invest in none of that. You ain't investing in none of that. That is gobbledygook. It's 3,200 a month. That's your take home. 3,200 a month is your take home. And you're gonna take that 3,200 and pay your bills, but you're gonna invest something and you like, I'm only doing a brokerage account. Now, if that's gonna be your strategy, my suggestion is this: if that's gonna be your strategy, and you're not gonna invest in your 401k, and you're not gonna do any of this right here, any of this gobbledygook I'm talking about, you ain't gonna do no tax deferred. You're not even worried about that. You said I'm just doing taxable and tax free. So if you're gonna do taxable and tax free, really, if you want to be tax free, you're gonna probably be in municipal bonds. And I already showed you what they were turning. And then you probably gonna be in a brokerage account or buying real estate. Now, with that being said, you don't necessarily have to go out there and buy real estate. You can do REITs. You can go buy you some data center REITs here and be in some data center REITs if you want to, right? Top 10 data center REITs. There's REITs for everything. Um, you can say, what are the different types of REITs? This is an investment now. You got equity, infrastructure, timberland, you got mortgage, you got data center, you got diversification, you got all different types of REITs here. All the different types of REITs, and you can go invest in all these different types of REITs. Which one are returning the best the best bang for your buck, right? You can go look at all these different REITs. I'm just trying to show you what's out here. You may not want to invest in your 401k. I think some of you are not disciplined enough that you need that 401k. Whether you're putting in $1,000 a month or maybe you're putting in $2,000 a month. But I think some of you need that 401k, right? Or that IRA to discipline yourself. Right. So BlackRock, we talked about BlackRock. We talked about some crypto. All right. So let keeping along the lines of crypto. Here's the world's largest corporate holders of Bitcoin. The world's largest corporate holders of Bitcoin. Bring it down for you because it's super huge. MicroStrategy is the world's largest holder of Bitcoin at 9 billion, followed by Galaxy at 912 million, followed by Marathon at 714, Tesla at 547, Hut 8 at 488, and Coinbase at 478. Then they got down here the smaller ones, Block, IoT, Riot, Hive, Clean Spark, Nexon, and Exodus. These are your top dead or alive Bitcoin holders. Top dead or alive Bitcoin holders. All right. Along with Visual Capitalists, I saw this one. Cloud computing. The world biggest cloud computing service, AWS at 31%, but Azure's right behind them at 24%. Google at 11, Salesforce at 3, IBM at 2, Oracle at 2, and then other. I don't know who other is. They really didn't define who other was. It just says other 21%. They didn't define who other was. But you can see who the players are. Pick a cloud, any cloud. Those are the skill sets I always tell you. Pick a cloud, any cloud. Do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do. All right. We talked about the Roth. We talked about people living. Ooh, I got so much stuff. All right, we about to wrap it up. I'm gonna do this last three, and then we out of here. All right, so let's talk about this. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, if you're in the Tampa Bay area, this could be something for you. Hold on, let me get my. There we go. Let's minimize that. Oh, did I miss something? Oh no, I didn't. I know what it is. It's the two are in one. Okay, South St. Pete. Home buyers could qualify for a $75,000 in down payment assistance. South St. Pete. Home buyers in South St. Pete may soon be eligible for even more help with their down payment and closing costs. Why? Because the houses are expensive. The houses are 700, 800, 900, 1 million. Currently, buyers are eligible up to $60,000 in assistance from the city's affordable single home ownership program. If approved by the city council, the figure could increase to $75,000. The program is specifically for buyers who are looking to purchase in the 7.3-mile stretch of the city that is considered the South St. St. Petersburg CRA. The city's affordable single family home ownership program gives buyers who make less than 120% of the area median income assistance with buying a home. The program launched in 2018 when buyers were eligible for up to $20,000 in a down payment assistance, and the total was slowly grown over the last 6 years. Excuse me. Currently, buyers are eligible up to $60,000 in assistance. If approved by the city council on Thursday, could increase to $75,000. Katasha Bryant closed on her first home just days before Christmas after having to move from rental to rental while raising 5 kids. I'm just grateful, so forth and so on. Blah, 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 blah. Woo, 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 woo. It doesn't tell me what the income is. So let's go here. Here is the housing assistance program. All right. The buyer should be willing and able to meet the following conditions before applying for the loan. Contribute an amount equal to 1% of the sales price into the transaction, including out of pocket expenses attributed to transactions such as earnest money deposit, appraisal, credit report, and property inspection. Attend a first home buyer educational training class provided by HUD, counseling agency, and receive a certificate of completion. Purchase a modest housing unit with a sales price not exceeding $481,000 and having the property inspected by a licensed home inspector. Substantiate sufficient assets available to acquire the housing. Demonstrate ability to sustain the home ownership. Obtain a primary mortgage loan that is affordable over the term of the loan. Apply for and be approved for homestead exemption and maintain occupancy of the unit as a primary residence for the term of the purchase assistance subordinate mortgage loan. So for the life of the loan, income eligibility. It says to be eligible for the down payment, you cannot exceed the maximum annual income limit as adjusted adjusted for the number of occupants related or not residing within the resident. The annual income is calculated. Let me see. Let's do the income limits. So the income limits for one person AMI is not to exceed a single household of 73,000. They said not to exceed 120%. So 73,000, not to exceed. And then say 140, it said 73. So if you're between 18 to 73,000, you got a shot and get 75,000 for a down payment on a home. On a home. Let's go. What is an average home going for right now? All right, let's look and see. Okay, so let's remove. We got a house. I'll remove. I'll do any, and that's old southeast. Let me do this. Let me do this. I don't know what's considered South St. Pete. I don't know, but I'm assuming. Let me see. What is considered South St. Pete? And I would check your local area as well too to make sure some people had it. So South St. Pete CRA district is bounded by 2nd Avenue North, Interstate 275, 175, Booker Street, 4th Street, and then south on the east of 30th Avenue South and 49th Street South. So 49th Street South. All right, so let's zoom in. 49th Street South. That's 49th Street. That's 37th Street. That's 49th Street South right there. Let's remove this boundary. And let's do a draw. So I'm just gonna pick in this area right here. I'm just gonna pick right here. That's why I'm gonna just pick that and then apply. All right. This is what they look like. They said no more than 500. So let's go from 250 to 480, something like that. 450. We'll do that. Little tiny homes. 329, 865 square feet, 32, 340, 350, 415. This is like somebody just built this one. Completely renovated. Let's see what it was before. Let's see, it was sold in 2014 for $10,000. That's probably was a plot of land. Somebody held on it, probably sold it and got it for and put a house on it. List price listed for 415. Somebody put a house on it. That's probably what that is. There it is, 415. and you get 75,000 now towards your down payment on there, just to show you what it's like in Florida. In other plot, and that's a one car garage on top of that. In other places, 415, you probably be sprawling. Not in Florida. Not in Florida. All right. So let's give you an idea. Good to know for those that are like, oh, I'm moving down to the Tampa area. You better look for incentives. Look for incentives. Look for incentives. Cause how much rent the middle class can afford in 50 states? How much rent can a middle class afford in these 50 states? Let me see. Here we go. They say in Alabama, the highest end of the rent affordability for middle class is 2980. Rents on the low end is 993. 2980. In order to be high, the high end of middle class is 119. The low end is 39,000. It's for Alabama. You can skip Alaska. You ain't moving there. For Arizona, on the high end, it's 3629. On the low end, 1209. Cali, on the low end, 1531. On the high end, affordability is 4595. On the high end of middle class, is 183. Colorado, 1500 to 4400. And the high end middle class income is 175. Middle class is 175. District of Columbia, low end is 67,000. High end middle class is 200,000. Your rent is 1695 to $5,000. DC, stand up. We see you. I keep trying to tell you, your 45,000 ain't gonna cut it in DC. It ain't. Florida, your your low middle class is 45, your high is 135. Your lowest affordability rent is 1200, your highest is 3400. You're not getting no beach drive for $1200. They don't like you, Otis. They don't like you, Otis. They said no. Georgia, your low income is 47. Your highest middle class income is 142. Your rents are 1200 to 3600. Your rents. We're not talking mortgages. You can't use your MID on this. Hawaii, your rents are 1500 or 1600 to 4800, 4740 to be exact. Medium in household income is 94,000, 63,000 to 189. Illinois, 1,300 to 4,000. Middle class income is 156. I'm just going to places where I know people stay. We stay at. Okay, on the low end in Louisiana, you got $900, 964 to 2,800. Y'all better move to Louisiana. Maryland, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Median household income is 98,000. Remember, a household can be one person or more. It's not two people. That is not a household. It is a household can be one person or more. All right. So lowest end of affordability is 1641, and the highest end of affordability is 4923. Mass, your highest is 193, your lowest is 64, your median is 96, but your rents are 1608 to 4825. Michigan, Minnesota, there we go. Montana, Nebraska, Nevada. Your rents are 1,200 to 3,500, 3,600. Median household 71, low end 47 to 143. Jers, your highest middle class income is 194, your lowest 65, your median is 97, and your rents are 1,700 to $5,000, or 4,900 to be exact. New York, we from New York. All right. Median 87, low middle class, highest is 54 to 165 or 162. And then your rents are 1356, 1,400 to 4,000. North Kakalaki. Y'all are 1,100 to 3,300 on your rents. Your highest is 132 on your middle class, and your median is 66. Ohio, Chips Act, 1,200 to 3,300. Median at 66. Oklahoma, Oregon, you're up 1,200 to 4,000 roughly. Middle class is high end of middle class is 153. I mean, I'm not seeing, I ain't really seeing nothing under the 100,000 mark. South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, where you at? Me high end of middle is 146, median was 73, high end 1,200 to 3,600. Virginia. All right, Virginia, you're on median is 87. Your high end middle class family is 175, 175. Your low end of rent is 1,500. Your high end is 43. Washington State, your median income is 90, your low end is 60, your middle is 180, your highest of your middle is 180, and your rents are 1,500 to 4,600, give or take there. West Virginia is expensive. I don't know why people think it ain't. It is. Wisconsin, Wyoming, that's it. So again, what side of the fence you want to be on? Low middle class or high middle class? And that's middle class. It said nothing about 180 being wealthy. It said middle class. You just on the high end of it. Just on the high end of it. All right. Let's do a petty T for the road. I was gonna talk about this overemployment, but you already know how I feel about it. Do. Oh, it didn't grab it. Let me grab it. Yeah. This person worked 2 jobs. They didn't care. And paid $9,000 for their honeymoon and did 300,000 working 2 jobs remotely. You can get one job and get you paid 300, but I get it. Um there's an article in here about the guy that got fired from having a mouse jiggler. He had a mouse jiggler. He had a mouse jiggler, got fired. They caught on to him. They caught on to him. They was like, "Sir, we see we see you, sir." Right here. Employee facing termination for using mouse jiggler to appear active at work while doing 4 jobs at one time. Mouse jiggling. Oh, mouse jiggling. He had 4 jobs at one time. All right. He thought his overemployed scheme of working 4 different jobs was going perfectly until one of his little mistakes finally caught up with him. In some ways, having multiple lines of employment from home is the perfect scheme, especially since the pandemic turned so many of us from cubicle reps to work from home types. Pick up multiple remote jobs, stack up multiple salaries, and be on the road for financial freedom. A man was threatened with termination after his boss discovered he was working multiple jobs. As he shared in a post overemployed subreddit, a forum where people go blah 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 blah, he thought he had worked out. He'd been slipping up along the way for quite some time, but in the end, it was poorly chosen piece of technology that did him in. The man got caught using his mouse jiggler to make it look like he was actively online at all 4 of his jobs. Mouse jigglers come in 2 types: an actual physical piece of equipment that literally jiggles your mouse, and apps software that keep your computer running if you're online. So things like messaging apps and so forth. The man on Reddit made what now seems to have been a huge mistake of his later choice. The IT departments to be alerted to him called on an app called Caffeine EXE. My boss asked me if I had a business purpose for this, and I was at a loss for words, he wrote, and suddenly the jig was up. Is this your computer? Is this your computer doesn't so your computer doesn't fall asleep? He's busted. His boss presented him with a PIP, a performance improvement plan, usually the last stop before being fired at most companies, right before they're right there on the spot. Apparently, the mouse jiggler was the last straw. He wrote after a string of mistakes he made while trying to juggle his multiple jobs. I keep trying to tell y'all, if you gonna do multiple jobs, you gotta have a schedule. You gotta know what's required of you. You got to set it up. You got to attend all the meetings. You got to talk. You got to be productive. You can't be over there just like, ooh, let me just jiggle the mouse and don't attend meetings. You got to be productive. You got to be productive, right? Not reductive. Pro, right? He had been missing stand-ups and having thunderstorms and power outages since he started. You can't do that. You can't be sitting there like because you got a meeting. Like that's why I try to tell y'all, man. Y'all trying to be out here, you trying to make these money, you trying to be overemployed. You gotta know a power outage, right? Well, let me dial in. Call on the phone. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I missed the stand up because I overslept." I don't care about that. You missed the stand up. You missed the status update. And if you know you're going to miss the status update, put your update out there early. Go on and update all your tickets. The main part of growing trend of working multiple jobs that has skyrocketed since the pandemic, according to the Human Resources HRM. The trend of people working multiple remote jobs at once has been hugely on the rise since 2020. A whopping 79% of remote workers have worked at least two jobs at one point in time for the past year. Another 36 respondents say they were working at least two full-time jobs at once and making more than six figures in salary. The this is not uncommon to be overemployed. Some professionals are out there working five different jobs, making well over 1 million. The one guy that made 1.2 million, we know about him. There are people out there that can work these multiple jobs. Y'all cannot work multiple jobs and then sit up there and be like, "What I'm gonna do?" And here's the other thing: when you work these multiple jobs, when you work these multiple jobs, this is your friend. Tax deferred, tax free, and taxable income. Why? Because you're working W 2 jobs and you need a way to get something, something done about your taxes. I'm not trying to tell you nothing that I don't know. But you know what? Y'all keep up the good work. You got it. You got it. All right, it says, but even as common as the practice has been, the majority, like the redditor, are finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with the scheme. 85% of correspondents said it was at least somewhat difficult to keep up the rules without their bosses noticing, and nearly 63% reported getting caught by one of their bosses, with well over half of those caught going on to get fired. It sparked a debate about multiple jobs. So a TikTok creator named Gabrielle posted a summary of the guy's Reddit story to the app, asking her fellow TikTokers if they thought the Redditor's employer was overbearing or if that's messed up, and so forth and so on. They go on and on and on. All right. So the problem with the overemployment is the taxes. It's the taxes. You need to find a way to figure out if you're gonna be a 1099 worker or you're gonna have W2, right? All right, sit back and wait. A month ago, my advisor died. The firm he worked for can't yet find the $337,000 I invested with them. What's my next move? What is my next move? $337,000. What's going on, Peter Investor? What's going on the luxury bucket list? $337,000 is gone. They can't find it. What do they do? What's what should be do we do? What should be do? What should be do? What are y'all thinking? What should that person do? The money can't be found. The man is dead. Let's go. You catching the case? All right, let's go. All right. Blow it up a little bit here. Okay, a month ago, my advisor died. Oh, $5 super chat for you. I appreciate you. They ain't organized. Oh no, they ain't organized, man. Nah. I was overemployed in when I worked at Rackspace. I had thought about it the other day. I was working at the University of Washington remotely and I was overemployed. And the manager knew. She's like, "Can you work the job for the next 2 months until she finds somebody?" So I was getting a paycheck every I was getting a paycheck like, you get paid every 2 weeks. Every week I was getting a paycheck $5,000 here, $6,000 there. I'm like, man, what? Don't tell me this. Is this the thing? Is this the thing I can do? What Scooby Doo? Shouldn't have never let me in the door. Should never let me in. What the dope man done sold me. All right, so here we go. 1 month ago, my advisor died. He worked for himself, but a large financial services company was his brokerage firm. When he passed, a new advisor from a large company took over his account. The issue is they can't seem to find my account, even though I have an account number and a statement from 6 months ago showing the 300, the $337,000. On my access to my online account, it says outside investment, but has zero on the company site. They're investigating, but what do I do in the meantime? Sit back, wait, panic, any recourse? He had an audit a few months back with no red flags. Is this financial services company liable? Again, you turn over your money to this person to help grow your money. They die. Somebody else come in and take over the accounts. They can't find your money. What you gonna do? You gave consent, right? All right, let's see. Let's see. Answer. While this may not be a reason to panic, pros you should take action ASAP. I would strongly advise against sitting back and waiting, says Christopher Marcio, a partner of Roseby Financial and RIA technology platform for advisors. Said blah blah. So where do you go first? The custodian listed your statement. The custodian listed on your statement should have answers. Call the custodian directly for an update. Says certified financial planner Matt Bacon or Carmine Hill. A custodian bank is the financial institution that holds the securities. FINRA states that the brokerage firm account statements must include contact information of the custodian. So, what did we just learn? That your statement must include who the custodian is, and it should have a phone number, a point of contact listed on there. When you get your statements, you better go call them. You better call them. Just be like, I'm just calling to see if it still work. I'm just calling to see if my money's still there. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Well, Miss Reed, what it say when you look online? When I look online and what you look online is two different things. When I look online, this is what I see. Now I need for you to share your screen when you log in and you see my account, because those are two different things. What you see. All right. So it says if they don't have answers, escalate the issue. Ask to have your concerns escalated or speak with their internal conflict resolution team. Stand on top of this is the best way to kickstart action on their end. Know too that the firm or the custodian has a retention requirement whereby they're required to retain records for 7 years. Okay, so you learn something there. They got to maintain them records for 7 years. So just because your advisor is gone doesn't mean your data is gone. Their team should be able to provide you with a history of an account regardless of the prior circumstances. If it's an outside investment, there should be some sort of record of what exactly the account is and where it's being held. This data should be feeding in from the organization that is holding your money, says I guess Marsco. Once you connect with the member of the service team, you should be able to inquire further about your account status. It's possible that your account may have been held with a different company, but networked to a larger company, allowing visibility and monitoring within the systems. That's typically the case when an account says when an accountant says outside investment, says the certified financial planner Ryan Haas, or a certified financial planner, Christopher, we'll skip his all of that ironclastic capital management notes. My best guess is that your account is held directly with a mutual fund company and connected to a brokerage account via a shell account. This is a reminder too of how key it is to understand the relationship with your advisors. Surely you signed a service contract with that investment advisor and that broker, so check if somewhere the advisor had the power to withdraw funds from your account for the purpose other than collecting fees. It is always important that the investment advisor does not have the open discretion over your account and signs an investment policy that clearly stipulates your risk level and asset types. And that's what I was talking about. Could this be fraud? It certainly possibly can. Certified financial planner Christina at Future Perfect Planning says that there's a chance that your statements for your advisor were falsely fabricated, generated, and falsely generated and fabricated to make you think they were investing your money and increasing your returns. I would keep calling and possibly contact FINRA. This is where a lot of people get messed up when they're dealing with financial advisors. You don't know what they actually doing. So that's why we have tech stocks and jobs, so you can know how to go read these things, how to read a 10K, how to read these stocks, how to read what is this a good buy or not? Is it outperforming? What are slices? What is this? What is that? I try to bring you this so you educate yourself first before you go seek counsel somewhere else. All right. If your account does not to be appear to be stolen or missing, you'll need to file a report. If your account does to be stolen or missing, you need to file a report with the SEC of suspected wrong securities fraud and wrongdoing. Furthermore, you can file an arbitration claim through FINRA, as both the SEC and FINRA are permitted to facilitate restitution for investors. Note this is an issue on the brokerage firm failure. Your money may be protected by SIPC, Securities Investor Protection Corporation, from being lost or stolen. While brokerage firms' failures are rare, should you be the victim of a victim of one, SIPC protects the securities up to 500,000 as long as the firm is a member and you file a claim. You need to find out what they're a member of. You need to know if what they have up to. Again, 500,000. Time for a new financial advisor. I wouldn't be going with the company that you with now. I'm skippity dippity dopping it on up out of there. This also shows showcase display of incompetence on your advisor and your current firm. In other words, it may be time to find a new one. Here's how to vet them. Here's a tool that you can use in order to vet an advisor, right? In order to vet an advisor. I'm just telling you, make sure you all do your due diligence. Now, I got more, but we are done. I just want to show you what I'm pulling from, what I'm pulling from today. No, that's last week's episode. Here we go. This is what I'm pulling from. Here's what I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about these jobs that are out here. The worst paying jobs, remote jobs that do not require degrees, cybersecurity jobs. And then I talk about private equity. I didn't talk about emergency fund. I didn't talk about donations. I didn't talk about this is actually talking about REITs, job loss. Here's a whole slew thing on Nvidia. Oh, this is cool. I'll pull this up right here about the taxes, about the taxes. We didn't talk about Dell pushing remote workers back in. AI and jobs at the White House, right? What the White House is talking about. Did get into some of the housing stuff. Talked about a little overemployment, stocks, taxes. Uh, let me see. Yeah. So here, two new air taxis are coming to MacDill Air Force Base. So if you're not aware, I've talked about this before about these um flying taxis that you can now they're starting to implement this over at McDill. Where the picture at? Mm-mm-mm. They don't have the picture. Let me look and see here. I'm let this advertisement run, and hopefully they'll have the picture because it was up there. But yes, flying taxis are a thing. Let me see. What are you talking about in the chat? I work from CompuShare or Equiserver, and a transfer agency is Mass. And yep. Charlene, you said good advice is to get yourself a sticker certificate, even if it's one share to prove you are a shareholder. Yep. Yep. This is what I think is to do. This is what I think happened to poor person fraud. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You saying both? That's what happened to him. So here's that taxi that I was talking about here. The air taxi airport. There we go. And that air taxi is supposed to be able to go from Tampa to Orlando. So you don't have to worry about traffic, right? All right, folks. We'll talk about more of this stuff next week. I mean, I didn't get a chance to finish, but you know, we'll talk about more stuff next week. All right, y'all. It was 3 hours. You talked about taxes. We talked about everything. Tax free. Work on your strategy. Don't let nobody trick you out your money. Protect all your assets. Your stock portfolio is an asset. You can leverage. You can take loans from your stock portfolio inside your IRA and your 401k. I think it's just in your IRA. You can do option trading. I'll talk about that a little bit more. I've been investigating that as well too. We'll get into that. We'll talk about it some. But again, I am not a financial advisor, even though I give you things that I think are interesting financially. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe, and it's been real.